let's now address a piece of news. Remember, Aster DM, currently there's the restructuring deal which is in focus. So let me welcome on board Dr. Azad Moopen, the chairman at Aster DM Healthcare, joining in on the show right now. Dr. Moopen, great to have you on the show. How is it that you see value unlocking happening with this deal? And how do you think this restructuring is expected to create value for your shareholders?
The people who were looking at Aster were thinking that this is not a pure play India business. And people who were looking from GCC were thinking that this is not a pure play GCC business. So there was a mix of this. And so we were not given the value. And when we discussed with the analysts as well as with the investors and all, they were saying that we are not able to give you the same value which we are giving to other people because you are, the revenues and the profits are mixed, and the business model is complex, and we can understand because it's not seen directly like an India business. So now what will happen is that with a pure play India business, we hope that we will get that value which the India pure players are receiving, because our facilities are really appreciated by all the investors, and we have one among the best facilities, I can tell you, wherever we are operating, and the service levels. We have 4,000 beds, and we hope that we will get that value realization as we go forward.
Right. Since you are talking about the value, can you also help us understand that how did you arrive at this valuation for the GCC business?
Regarding the value, how this was discovered, there were three things involved. First, the whole process of finding out somebody who can buy the GCC business from India. When we looked at how to do that, we got the two investment bankers, Moelis Capital as well as CS, Credit Suisse. And they went around and they looked at people who can buy our GCC business, and shared the IM with 42 people, and of which 16 were shortlisted, then brought down to 8, and then this was brought down to 4, who were given the non-binding, they were allowed to submit non-binding bids, from which 2 were selected, and out of that they did the DD, and 1 was selected finally, Fajar Capital. So that's one process where a thorough screening of the market was done, and we thought that we got the best price out of that. Now, to make sure that this price is good, we got the services of 2 independent valuations, one from EY, another one PwC, 2 Big Four, and they did the independent valuation. On the basis of that, this was decided by the independent directors. Because we had a conflict, they have done this process, and so the valuation was taken.
So, morning, can you explain to us the related party transaction here, how the promoters are going to control the buyer entity?
Yeah. So, the related party I mentioned to you, there is a related party in this, but what we are trying to do is that the business being managed, so far we were managing this business on both sides, but what we have done is that my daughter Alisha Moopen, who was earlier the Deputy Managing Director of Aster as a whole, now is becoming the Managing Director and CEO for GCC. And she will be managing the GCC business, and I'll be with the CEO who is here, Dr. Nitish Shetty, who has joined about 1 year back, who is doing a fantastic job. And I will be the person who will be responsible for looking after the, his performance and his report.
Right. The funds are going to be managed by Fair Capital Advisors in the shareholding ratio of 35 to 65. Can you explain this ratio better?
Yeah, this Fajar Capital is a private equity firm who are investing their own funds, and along with that, they have a consortium of investors behind them. So this was one of the reasons why we selected Fajar Capital for the GCC business, is because they have got good inroads into the various GCC countries, and they have connects there with the sovereign funds as well as with the authorities. So they have got investment from these five GCC countries. So of the total amount required, they have brought in that 65% or whatever amount is required for that. Now the balance 35% is brought in by us. So that is the 65% by them and 35% by us from the investment side. From the management and board side, we have full management control. That's one of the requirements which we had. So we'll have management control of the business as well as board control.
Any approvals you will seek to go ahead with the deal? How crucial is this to get shareholder approvals?
No, it's actually a very, very important point, and very important that we get the shareholders' approval, because in this case, especially as there is a conflict of interest, the minority shareholders should approve this, and that is a SEBI regulated thing, and we are hopeful that looking at the value unlocking and the benefit which comes to the Indian shareholders who are going to get this whole money coming into India, and probably a part of it dividended out to them. We hope that definitely the Indian shareholders will approve that. That's our hope. And it has to be approved by the minority shareholders, and their interest has to be taken care. We have made sure that all the conflict is being kept out of this picture by having the independent directors supervising this throughout the process in the last 1 year. We taking a back seat in this whole process.
So where do you plan to utilize the proceeds? Will there be any reward for the shareholders in terms of any sort of special dividend, etc., that you're planning?
Yes. So that's what we have in mind. And while I can't say that it's decided, the board has to meet again. And once this is going through the process, the board has to decide what to do with the proceeds. So the discussions were that part of it definitely can be given to the shareholders, and then there could also be requirements for the growth funding for the company. So those things will be decided by the board of directors, and we hope sincerely that this will happen, because we are 42% shareholders, and getting that money is very important for us, even for getting this money back to GCC and taking that 35% stake.
Right. So in this deal, how did you ensure protecting the interest of minority shareholders? Because some analysts are saying that minority shareholders have been shortchanged. What would your reply be to that?
Yeah. So I think that the most important thing which we have taken care is the interest of the minority investors, because the minority investors were suffering. If you look at the Aster stock 1 year back, it was just half of what it is now. As soon as this news came out, and in the last 1 year, the stock has almost doubled, which in itself has given that huge benefit to the investors. Apart from that, what we have done is that we have completely left this whole transaction to the independent directors to make sure that they have to run this rather than we getting involved in that. And the third thing is that this has to be approved by the minority shareholders. See, we deciding that, the board deciding that, or we as promoters deciding that is not what is going to happen. This has to go for a shareholders approval, and that's only the minority shareholders will be allowed to vote in that. As I understand, this has to go for a majority of minority shareholders. So everybody will have a say whether this is something good for them or it's not good for them. So there's no question. It's only taking care of the minority shareholders.
All right. Thank you so much for taking time out and joining in.